All right, Tiny. Had to do some music coming in after we talked about it last time. We'll work on it.
GM, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming. I don't know which one it is, but no, man, I'm excited. I'm excited to be doing these again every week, especially because it gives me something to look forward to. I mean, we used to do these religiously, and it's super fun to be doing it again. So I'm excited to be doing it again one more week. So I'm ready to dive into some stuff, actually.
Well, give us some context. What are we diving into? Where are we? Who are we? Why are we here? What is all this?
So I don't know where you want to start tonight. I don't know if you want to start with kind of what we've been doing with some of the stuff on the app, some of the content, or if you want to start with some updates, some stuff you've been doing, because I know you've been busy writing. And
I want this to be Tiny's universe.
Oh, my universe.
But I do think so. You can prod me for information. You can.
I was going to say my universe is fills the beans.
Well, I have a few beans that I can tease, even if I can't spill them. But I do always want to back up for just a second. So there are times where people who tune into this or stumble upon it, since we're kind of streaming everywhere, will not know who we are or what we're doing or why we're talking or why should they care to begin with. So I think it's always worth giving, working on kind of the snapshot version, but giving the kind of quick intro. So, who are you? Who am I? Why are we here? What are we talking about? What's going on in this stream?
So, well, to start, I am Tiny Universe, aka Scott Pierpont. So I will go ahead and completely dox myself out there. I don't care. But no, I am a comic collector. I'm an NFT collector. I guess I'm just a collector in general, which to me, again, I've said it before, I think started with Ronan the Collector and hearing him talk and just falling in love with, again, the idea of just collecting in general. But what are we talking about? We're talking about Macroverse. We're talking about comics. We're talking about NFTs. We're talking about entertainment in general. It's the Macroverse is so much more than just comics. So it spans to everything. But Evan, I would love for you to introduce yourself because you do it so well.
Well, thank you. Yes, good job. I am Evan Matthews, co-founder and CEO of Macroverse. And basically, what we are up to as a company and me personally as a creative person is trying to crack the code on how we build the next generation of entertainment franchises. And I love that you started with the collector part of it, because I think what we're seeing more and more clearly, and those that continue to kind of follow along and participate will see more and more clearly over the course of this year in particular, is that where Macroverse as a company, as a community, as an ecosystem is going to continue to orient around is really the overlap between digital and collectible and all the things that implies. And when we say that, sometimes people think that means only digital. But if you stick around to the end of our conversation tonight, you might realize that it doesn't mean only digital, but that, I am also a lifelong collector of things. This Superman statue over here was from the Warner Brothers store when that existed in New York. Picked that up, and it went with me all the way through college and has stayed with me ever since. I have my 20 plus long boxes of comics, being a Wednesday warrior for a huge chunk of my life, certainly my teenage years and beyond. I've made comics and animation and film and television and games and all the things. And so, we as a core team, and then as a core community are really here to figure out, what is the next, thing at the scale of a Star Wars or a Harry Potter, or, those sorts of things that have been so impactful to me as a fan. And now not only wanting to create those things ourselves, which we wanted to do before we fell down the Web3 rabbit hole, but now the thing that I and we have fallen so in love with is the ability to invite other people to come along and participate and be a part of that process. And not only be a part of that process, because people have been fans of things, and there have been fandom groups that have popped up over the last decade in particular that have been able to write fan fiction or create their own things on Instagram and build an audience that way. But there's never been a way for people to be able to own a piece of these franchises because of that participation. And that's the unlock that we get so excited about with this new type of technology that allows people to have ownership in the digital realm, and then for us to carry that across every version of the things that we make. So I'm going to work on this intro to make it shorter as we continue to do every week, but I like people to get a sense of, we're passionate about this. And at the end of the day, it's, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. We're building worlds of epic content, and we want to do it with you. So come along for the ride. And so part of that is we have a mobile app. We've released about 100 different series through the mobile app, about 1,000+ episodes of content at this point, some new stuff that's hitting every week. And so, as Tiny and I were chatting about some things to talk about every week, we thought it'd be nice to spotlight some things on the mobile app. That's a great entry point into everything that we're doing. One of the joys of my life is getting to work with incredible creative people, and there's a lot of talent on the mobile app, people that have poured their life and heart and soul into creating these stories. And then we're the only company in comics that, on the traditional side of things, especially on the digital side of things, is organized around fairly compensating those creators for the readership that they bring to the platform. And so, that's a whole other conversation, but it's another really critically important piece to me, is that people are taken care of for the work and the effort that they bring to what we're building. Let me now shut up, as I have a keep talking. And I want to work on that. So Tiny, it's your show. I'm here with you. Where do you want to
say a couple things? A couple things real quick. One, I never want you to shorten it, because honestly, hearing you speak always gets me so excited, and it gets me so amped about what's happening and what we're doing. And that is originally one of the things that got me sucked into Macroverse, was hearing you talk and do these introductions weekly on the storytelling 101s. And I never get tired of hearing it. So I really don't want it to get shorter, because anyone that's never heard it before is going to be like, yes, this is awesome. I promise you.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that, and I still want to work on the condensing of the information a little bit, because I don't want to spend our whole hour with just me chatting about all the things I'm excited about. I want to hear what you're excited about.
So, and then the other thing is just just the content. I mean, there's so much on the app. There's stuff coming out in Epics. We've got, even more being worked on, and in round 2 of Epics coming out. And you're talking about just collecting in general. And I think, that's one of the things I forgot to mention, is not only am I a collector, but now I am also a writer. And that's because of you guys and what you've taught the communities, and what you've brought to us, people like myself that are collectors and are not writers or artists, by trade, by day. And for me to have a couple comics coming out that I wrote is like, it's just
awesome.
Insane to me. So that's why I tell anybody that's not familiar and is just interested in the culture, the scene, the maybe not even comics, but entertainment in general, keep tuning in because we're just warming up.
Yeah. Yeah. Our goal is to create a studio and a space that you are able to step behind the curtain at whatever level you want to do that. And so, as it evolves over time, right now we're mostly focused on comics, but ultimately this goes into animation and film and TV and gaming and, all different areas of entertainment. And I think, I say this a lot, but I think it's important that the context for everything that we're building is organized around this idea of what I call the participation spectrum. And so, when I think about myself as a fan growing up and going to my first Comic-Con, for example, and I was hanging out at the Marvel booth, I've had proudly wearing my Marvel Zombie sticker, looking at all the ash cans of new books that were coming out. And I'm old enough, this will definitely date me, that the original Captain America terrible movie was being played on the TV at the booth. And it's incredible experience, though, my first comic convention. And I just think back to that as such a rabid fan, truly was a Marvel zombie at that point. And if anyone there had said, like, hey, kid, you got any ideas for like what should happen with Spider-Man next month? Like, come over on this side and let's talk about it. And, let's pitch some ideas back and forth. And if we use any of them, we'll pay you. Like, do you know like what that would have been like as a, 13-year-old to like have that opportunity? And now, that's the kind of opportunity that we want to create for everyone that is in our ecosystem. And so, if that's appealing to you at any level, then the way to get involved is come into the Discord and just raise your hand. All we're looking for is people to come in and raise their hand and say, like, I want to play. And we go, great, come over here, let's do that. So, it's such an open door. And I think that's what's so magical about this space, this community, kind of the way that even comics themselves are evolving in a lot of ways as an industry. Doors are being opened, and we are, want to be at the forefront of opening those doors. So that is the part that excites me to no end.
Absolutely.
So where shall we go now?
Well, you want to start with content? I would say,
I've got the app queued up if you want to.
Yeah, I started the week. I had I believe it was a tweet that I put out, which is wonderful. I was at work, and it was a slow morning, and what better way to spend my time getting paid at my regular day job than reading comics on the Macroverse. So
I love it.
That is when I started McBain,
yes.
Which, come to find out, is actually for the second time, but wow, I mean, just phenomenal. And I believe I tagged 12 Gauge and I tagged you guys, and they were actually super cool enough to interact and kind of like and retweet and stuff like that. But super cool, one, to have, again, content from other creators come in and be on the app. And, this is another one that I would love to see in physical form, but it definitely gives you that kind of Western vibe. What kind of shocked me on this one is I still feel like they're talking going into it, I originally thought it was specifically like a Western. You can see their gas, and so they talk about trucks and stuff like that. So it's dated, more recently than kind of what I had in my mind going into it in the first couple taps.
Yeah.
But the story, again, is just what captured me. I mean, each tap, he's coming back into town. Finds what I take is like almost like a high school sweetheart or something, but runs into this girl, and they start chatting, hitting it off, and things kind of escalate to my favorite, the violence. So, and again, I mean, like while you go through this, it's just like the content, the writing and everything to me is just great. It just makes me want to just keep going and keep going and keep going. And I mean, here he talks about them being on drugs and stuff, but it's like when he gets this guy, it's almost like a 1-2 fooled you. And no, again, I mean, like at the end of this episode, it definitely almost like every single one of them leaves you wanting to go to the next one. But I will say, storyline, artwork, everything here is just phenomenal. I think it again kind of sticks with the HBO a little bit, not for the younger crowd, but again, this is why it's probably what attracted me. But yeah, no, phenomenal story. This is another one that I would say I would highly recommend. And this is one that I would want to see, not just in the tap format, but I would like to hold that in an actual physical book and see how that looks in my hands.
You're in luck, if I may interrupt for a second. So we try to the content that's on the app, and by the way, Macroverse on iOS and Android, go download it now. But the content that's on the app is a mix of things that we developed specifically for digital and for this tap story format that you're seeing. So every time you see something change on screen, that's me tapping the screen to advance the story. So everything is developed for the format specifically, or adapted from material that was originally in print. And this is a series that actually was originally in print. So that graphic novel is available through 12 Gauge Comics, one of our friends and partners in many things. They were also our publisher on the Boondock Saints graphic novel that we put out, which is also on the app. But it is our goal that as we go through the process of adapting material that was in print, that you just can't tell the difference. Like, we don't want you to be able to recognize what was originally in print that's been adapted and what was originally crafted for the app. And so I think, when it's successful, you really can't tell, which was which. And I think this one falls into that category for me as well. Couple of shout outs to the creative team. What people may not realize, any country music fans will know the name Trace Atkins. Trace Atkins is a very successful country music star, and is actually drawn into this book. So he is actually the starring role as Luke McBain.
Okay.
And there's actually a music video, a little trivia. There's a music video you can go find called "Whoop a Man's Ass," which
like I said, when you read this, it makes so much sense because man, the guitar case. Listen, again, it's like what, Desperado? Was that? Is that where he had the guitar? Like,
he did indeed, yeah.
Oh man, that's the kind of the feel it gave me. But again, he opens this guitar case to like a war arsenal, and it's like, you just know things are gonna get crazy.
Things are gonna get crazy. Yeah, this is a small town, in Louisiana. Country boy gone off to do some stuff in the outside world, coming home to find that his town has been corrupted, and he's the only one that's really going to stand up and do something about it. So that's kind of a tale as old as time, but with a really fresh coat of paint on it, based on the creative team here.
And I think too, not only that, it's like a super cool Western, but it's almost putting like a new feel on what you're used to with a really good Western. I mean, and then just over the top violence, which I love.
Definitely. And there you go. I'll also shout out, David Tishman, the writer. He's done all kinds of stuff in the comics industry and beyond, has written for film and TV and other stuff. And Cody Chamberlain, who does the artwork here. what I love about Cody's style is it initially feels very loose, like it's not as kind of meticulous as other people's drawing styles, but it's so expressive. There's so much energy in his line work and the way he uses light and shadow. And it's like, I think that when people have a style like this that's a lot looser, like not worrying as much about perfect perspective and super straight lines and things like that, it really only works when you really lean into it, and he really does. I think it really well in this
I
series.
think there's a good balance though. It's like some of it you can see is loose, and there's not as much detail. It's maybe more shading, some wild lines, and it almost, especially kind of in the intro.
Yeah.
But the more you get into it, I mean, there are some really phenomenal parts that are super detailed, and I mean, like super clean. And almost like it's almost like it's so nice that it doesn't fit is the funny thing. So I'll say it's almost a good balance of the both, actually.
Yeah, it's a good balance. I mean,
like that right there, like the beard.
I mean, he can definitely tighten it up when he needs to, and I think it's a trick where he's almost using the amount of detail in the art to correlate to camera distance in some ways. So it's like when you're closer up, you get more detail. When you're further away, you get less detail. And it's very effective in the series. So I'm with you. I'm a fan of Luke McBain, and I think it's a really fun one. It does have that. We kind of described it as walking tall, so it's got that kind of it's got that kind of vibe to it as well. It's definitely kind of a modern Western, urban cowboy country crossover. I also always think if you like things like Yellowstone, this is a good one for you. So Luke McBain, absolutely. The full story is up on the app. You can binge it start to finish. It's the whole graphic novel. And if you do want the physical edition, it is available at 12gagecomics.com.
Awesome.
Where shall we go next?
The next one was another one that when I first got the app, I got my trial, and then I, started my subscription because I got hooked. And this is one of the first series that I started, and it is the Billy Smoke one. Yeah. And again, not for younger crowd. Clearly see.
I feel like I'm feeling slightly defensive in that I want to say there are a few series on the app which are definitely all ages. I always keep in mind.
Listen,
Rock Mary Rock. There are a couple, but I also will say, this is not something you just want to hand your kids and go nuts. We will get to a place where we have some age controls, but we're not there yet. So right now it's like you're handing them the remote to HBO, going watch Teen Titans, but it's sitting right next to Game of Thrones.
Yes. And this is also purely my fault because these are the series that I picked. It's not like there's not other options, but this one, man, it starts hard. I mean,
it starts hard, yes.
It just comes in and it's instantly blowing brains out and loud words. I mean, just and the crazy thing is there's so much in the black and white, and it's kind of the same as I get with Dead Town. I mean, I don't need the detail and the color, and it's just there's so much in the words and the story and what's happening. And man, I mean, the action, it is just action packed.
It is absolutely action packed. Yes.
I mean, it just doesn't stop. It starts on level 10 and it goes up to 12 or 15 and then comes back down. But I don't feel like there's ever a calm moment, and again, it just sucked me right in.
Yep.
And that's another one that I really look forward to finishing.
new episode
I
of
think I read the first couple episodes twice, and to just absorb it all, because I mean it's like, oh my gosh.
yeah, I really love this series too. It's very much a manga inspired, both in the artwork and in the style of the storytelling. The writer of this one is actually an Eisner award-winning writer named B. Clay Moore. Also, done a ton in comics prior to this. Artwork by Eric Kim, and this has got an interesting backstory to it. So when we first launched the app, now a little over 4 years ago since we first launched the mobile app. And this was one of the kind of second batch of series that we were able to get a hold of to bring onto the app. And when I met B. Clay Moore, shout out to him for kind of taking a chance on an absolute startup, at that point. And going like, hey, I've got this graphic novel, which is Billy Smoke, which had been initially set up to be published at Oni Comics. And Oni, for some reason, never actually published it. And so he got the rights back. So at the moment, this is complete graphic novel. The rest of season 2 will be coming out over the next few weeks. So the whole graphic novel will also be here on the app. But right now, we're the exclusive home for this series. And I think we'll see a print version of it before too long as well. But it is really cool. I'm a huge fan of this one.
I mean, again, when it kind of gives me almost like a Tarantino vibe. I mean, just
it's John Wick before there was a John Wick.
Yeah, totally. Okay, yeah. It's just level 10 the whole time. I mean, it's just.
I love that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just. I mean, that's when I kind of don't have words for it, because like I said, I had to read it twice because I was like, holy crap, what just happened?
It's got a little bit of a Sin City vibe to it. It's clearly an anime thing. It's like a little Hitman action. There's a lot going on, but it works really well in the Tap Story format, and it's fun to work on stuff that's black and white. So Dead Town, which you mentioned, Dead Town is black and white, but it's intentionally made to look like a black and white movie. So it's black and white, but it's lots of shades of gray. It's actually like we're basically rendering it as if it was in color, and then just it happens to be in grayscale. Whereas this is clearly a black and white comic, like a lot of manga is, just the line work. And it's fun to put these together because we have to consider things like the overlap of where the shadow lays in his suit versus the background. And so there's a term in layout and design called tangents, where I am the kind of the tangent police when we're putting this stuff together. So even this, it's like you can see like the little bit of overlap in this part of his jacket here. Can you see my cursor, by the way? Maybe if I'm sharing the screen, you can't see the mouse. You don't know.
No, you can.
Okay, so I'm kind of circling this area right here. So if this panel were slid down just a little bit, that edge of that shadow would line up with the line of that mountain, and it would completely flatten the picture plane. So it's those kinds of things that we have to pay attention to as we're putting these together, from the telling the story, but also making sure that we keep things designed well, and just those little things make a difference.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, big fan. So there's a
I mean, you can see it as you tap through, but it's just phenomenal with the flow and how panel to panel, scene to scene, basically, kind of like you saw there, the previous panel would stay, but it would almost come in and overlap and interact together.
Yeah.
That's, as much as I want to see, like I said, I want to see the other one in a physical. You'll never get that in a physical, and it's totally different from an animation. I mean, it's just, when you're doing this, especially, the widescreen, it's it's the coolest thing in the world, and it just sucks you right in.
I'm so glad you're enjoying it. It makes me really happy. Have you found your way to the Lost Gig yet?
So honestly, I think that is possibly the first thing I started when I got the app.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But as of recently, I mean, we're talking almost a couple years ago now. So I mean, recently, no, this is another one I want to dig into again.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just highlight this real quick because I think it's a lot of fun. If there are any Boondock Saints fans out there, like I definitely am.
Oh yeah.
When we made the Boondock Saints graphic novel, that whole series is on here, and we can take a look at that on another stream. For fans, it's a direct tie-in between the two films. But as we were ramping up to getting that going, we wanted to kind of get our feet wet with this little, side story, this little one shot. So this is a side story that we made with Troy Duffy to essentially create a deleted sequence that ties into the first movie. And it's a lot of fun. And again, I think it also, works really well in the context of the Tap story. So this is, Rocco, very much a Rocco-centric story. And you get this moment where if you know the first movie, you'll definitely catch the Easter egg where it ties into the film. So this is the brothers on their way to deal out some of their specific brand of justice as Rocco is getting seasick.
One thing I love about this, and it's the same with Dead Town with like the Jamaican accent. Like when I feel like I read this in the accent.
The Boston accent, the different people.
Yes.
Sure. Really like the artwork in this one too. It's it's like just enough of a likeness of Sean and Norm to know that it's them, and like that version of Rocco really fun to me. So I dig it. But it's a short story. I think in the printed version of this was something we gave away at Comic-Cons, and I think it's in the graphic novel, or actually it might not be in the graphic novel. I think it may just be exclusive from Comic-Cons. But it's just a kind of a 12-page story that was a lot of fun to kind of get our feet wet in the world of Boondock Saints. So, this was fun. Kind of the first time we figured out how to do the shepherd's prayer, which, if you know the movies, these guys, when they're about to execute a bad guy, essentially they deliver the prayer to them. And so that was fun to kind of play that out over the top of these panels, as we get to the moment where typically they would shoot him, but in this case, let's just throw him out in the ocean. And then this is John. What's his name?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. You'll recognize character from the movie as well. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but if you know, you know. And then we little fun James Bond nod here as well. The Boondock Saints will return, and they do. So a fun one for sure. And that's the other thing I have a question for you. Have you taken a look at Art versus Apocalypse?
No.
Okay. So I'm not gonna, this was something very much born out of the pandemic. So when the pandemic started, we had just launched the version 2 of the app. And a lot of people were, we were all kind of like, what is this? How do we deal with this? What's going on? And so we felt like there was an opportunity to invite people who were largely already making comics or, doing something with storytelling about their own experience and what they were going through and how they were dealing with kind of the early days of everything that was going on with COVID, to create something either for the app specifically or to let us adapt it. So I'm not going to actually go through it because I think for anyone that knows Dead Town, it's a fun Easter egg. But Stephen and I made a little Dead Town short, which is part of this anthology series and is a little bit of a direct tie-in to season 2. So something that happens in here ties into something that will play out in season 2. But these are just, fun, short comics, kind of just different people's reactions, all kind of different styles. Lots of interesting experimentation around how we deal with the storytelling. People may recognize a couple of these, Alex Ogle, who did one of the Bushido stories, and actually Darcy, who starts the anthology off. She did one of the Wanderer stories. So we do tend to keep things in the family once we meet people that we like.
Yeah.
Anything else we should take a look at tonight?
I mean, I was going to start, which we've already talked about, was Deadtown Breakout, and I didn't get to it.
Okay. Yeah.
That is the next big one on my list.
Yeah. So I will warn you, that's an easy one. There's only one episode out for that so far, so we're working on more. But it's a good taste of kind of an experiment that is done all in this text message format with some additional bits and pieces. So you're kind of eavesdropping on these characters, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but we had said for a long time that we were never going to reveal the origin of the plague, the origin of the apocalypse, essentially. We still don't say where it is or exactly where the virus or the infection came from. But you do get to find out kind of the very early days, when it's not when it started or where it started, but how it started. And that is what that story is. And then, of course, the anthology series, which will be coming out here shortly as well.
So, and then I guess another one that I want to start is, I guess there's another zombie now, the zombie game.
The zombie game, there is. I'll just give a quick preview. This is,
and I was going to say, don't spoil it yet, because this is one I'll probably want to talk about. But
I'll just stop the first few screens here. It's just a beautifully illustrated series. Like, it's fully painted. A really fun one to adapt. Really good.
So this is one that I kind of just clicked on to open up to the main menu, where you can scroll through what's available, but it just the color, you can see like almost the brushwork with an like almost like an evil eye or something. But I don't know much about it, and it's already like really drawing me in. So I was, and I guess yours looks different than mine as far as like what's on the main screen. But
so this update's based on where you are in the series.
Okay.
Basically, once you start reading it, it kind of tells you where you are. So some good stuff for sure. There's the full Boondock Saints series. We talked about Deadtown. We talked a little bit about Rima, and that's one you can let your kids read. It's great. X11's more kind of like PG, I would say. Like, there's nothing overly crazy in there. A couple swear words. And then we got murder, murder, violence, swearing. There's all the
seasons. I've only done the first episode, and not getting into it that far, I didn't really know that it would be that graphic, I guess I would say. But first episode
has a couple moments. I'd say it's dealing with some serious stuff, more in the emotional
for sure.
And then we talked about seasons briefly last week, but episode 2 is out now, and season 3, so that just came out a couple days ago. And then I will point out, we caught a bug in the app. So you're seeing this exclamation point here. We did an update. We did a pretty massive update a few months ago, and then just discovered this bug. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, because I don't want people to start getting it if they're not getting it already. But if you see any of these like exclamation point screens, this will be going away in the next update, which will be coming out shortly. We've squashed it, and now we're just doing a little cleanup in the code to put that out. So just forgive our exclamation point mess. Don't click on them. Unfortunately, the worst part of this bug is that if that does show up for you, and then you click on it or tap on it, it just gets caught in a loop. It doesn't know where to go.
Okay.
So that's the problem. So if it does show up, just ignore it and it'll be fixed shortly. But the app is not broken. There's just a weird bug in the in one particular way that things get added to the app next. Excuse me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet on, and I use Android and Apple.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
The fact that you haven't found it actually makes me happy. So hopefully.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm digging through it. So
yeah. Good. So yeah, that's some new stuff and some highlights on the mobile app. Again, find that Macroverse app on your local app stores. It's that's the Web 2 version of our platform. We talked a little bit about, last year, one of our goals for this year is a lot more integration between the mobile app and the Web 2 side, and then also the Web 3 platform, which is out at macroverse.com. So some of those series, as well as a couple that are not out on the mobile app right now, are in their Epic collectible editions, which are available to mint right now. We'll have drop number 2 for that coming shortly. And then as we're starting to head towards wrapping up, I told Tiny he could try to get a little information out of me.
Try to pry at you. Well, yeah. there's a couple things. One, you spoke of drop 2.
Yes.
And recently in Discord, there's a little bit of teasing as far as having a plan for GSA. And I think there was some teasing like, Valor was like, we always have a plan. And I think the response was, what is the plan?
Yes, what is the plan? So yeah,
is there any for GSA?
There is a plan. There is a plan. I mean, I think number one, I will say again, anyone that hasn't seen the visual lore that we produced for the GSA should first of all go see that. So it's, it is up at macroverse.com. If you go to the GSA as a world, you'll see it not only produced, but also in its kind of widescreen version if you're on tablet or desktop. That one you don't need to connect a wallet or anything for. It's just there to jump into and check out. And then the plan that we have for GSA right now, I was actually talking to Rommel about today. Yes. And so I think it's going to be something a little different. There will still be a comic series. That's going to be a little bit later. We have something else planned as a way to kind of re-engage and excite the community. And also, I think one thing that I've been seeing more and more is that, in the Web3 space, especially, like, there's just not a playbook. Like, I think, we were talking about this a little bit with the KIA project as well, with the Koala Agency project. And, kind of the same question coming up in the KIA Discord around, what's the plan? Like, you guys took this over a while ago. Like, what are you guys doing? And we talked about that a little bit.
I want to say everybody that ever says that, try being a GSA guy. Like,
I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
They're just getting started.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but what I think we have landed on is something that I am very excited about, and that is going to be applied to the GSA, to the KIA, probably to Vogu as well. And I think it's going to be something that people haven't quite seen executed in this way. It's also going to be something that I think, importantly, is not just us going away and making something and saying like, hey, wait a little while longer, then eventually it's going to come out. It's something that the community can be a lot more active, can be a much more active participant in. And so I think that's going to be something really fun to be able to bring into the mix while we do continue to produce, kind of the longer form content as well. One thing I do want to say is, like, with both projects, as I said, like, I don't think there's a playbook that, we can just, pick and choose and apply to these projects. Like, we have to kind of find their feet for each one as they move into their next phase. And I think we do now know what that is. So, I know that's all empty talk until people actually see it. But as I said, we were having, Rommel and I are having that conversation today. I don't know if he talked to you about it at all, because I did kind of give him a little assemble your dream team moment here, so he may be reaching out to some of the other people in the community about that. Or if you want to be someone that is reached out to about that, you might want to ping him in the Discord. But yes, there is a plan that is now moving into action.
Perfect. And then the other big thing for me, which I don't feel like as many people are jumping on it as I figured would have by now, but is the drip house.
Yes.
And
I am psyched about Drip House, and I've been subtly and then not so subtly teasing that there will be something going on at Drip House. I cannot tell you an exact date, but I can tell you something's going to happen there with Macroverse very soon. So I will say once again that if you are not currently, if you don't currently have a Solana wallet, if you're not currently on the platform, get yourself a Solana wallet. The Phantom wallet is great. Magic Eden just put out a new wallet, which is also great. There might be some perks to jumping in on the Magic Eden side right now. They're doing a bunch of really interesting things, including a pretty awesome coalition as they relaunch their ETH marketplace, which be a cool thing to have a wallet that crosses over between Solana and Ethereum, since that's a lot. There's a lot more of that going on. I would just advise anyone that likes what we're doing to do that.
I'll say this again, and it always comes back to the Discord.
Yeah.
If you're not in the Discord, you like what you hear right here, and you're not familiar with the Discord, get in there, because one, I'm giving away invites. Evan's giving away invites. Anybody that asks, basically, it's like, here, come on, come play.
Yeah.
If you catch me at the right time of day, you might get a free NFT.
Or you can just get on Drip House and get a bunch of free NFTs. But
the other thing I was going to say, I mean, I've been on there much less time than you. Maybe I'm the luckiest person in the world, but I qualify almost like every other week for a rare. I've not got a legendary yet, but I mean, like, the amount of like super cool content that's just getting dropped to me. Music, videos, comics, just cool artwork. I mean, it's just super fun.
Yeah.
And I would say to bring Macroverse to that, oh man.
Well, I think what's, again, without too many spoilers, I think what we're going to try to do with what we do there is, and we won't be the only ones doing it, but I think because we do have this larger ecosystem to play into, not only will you get some cool stuff, but there'll be some things that cool stuff can do over time, and the first of those is not going to be too far away. So the real alpha for this conversation, if you've made it this far, is definitely get into the Discord. There's going to be a new channel popping up in the Discord literally within the next week, and it will not be open to everyone initially. So if you want to get some early access to the next thing that we're doing, which is super cool and will be properly announced in short order, definitely get into the Discord. That is where we're going to be delivering information first to the Macroverse community and then out to other collaborators and other communities as well. So indeed, that is the place, and probably a good place to kind of wrap it up. So calls to action for anyone that likes this: get in the Discord, say hi, come in and hang out with the community, explore. One thing I will say, we've gotten some feedback, which I think is correct, that the Discord has gotten a little disorganized. There's so much that we're doing that it's sometimes hard for new people to kind of understand where to go and what to start with. So just come into the general chat. I mean, Tiny and a bunch of other fantastic people will guide you to whatever you're looking for. Don't be shy. I'm there and generally available, even though I've been very busy and a little more absent than I would like to be over the last couple of weeks. We'll be doing a bunch of AMAs and Twitter Spaces also over the next couple of weeks as we ramp up towards this next thing that we're going to announce. So find me on Twitter at Ebenverse, and I'll be posting about that stuff as well, or at Macroverse is the main Macroverse page. but the Discord is, always going to be the first place that we post things. It's, we have a whole channel of sneak peeks. So even if you don't know exactly what we're working on, we have proof of work almost daily.
Yes.
And you get to see, a bunch of stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
And if you're lucky, like me, you can make a whole family new of best friends.
Yeah.
Because the people are phenomenal.
The people are phenomenal. I can absolutely vouch for that. So if you're a phenomenal person, come on down. And then finally, as we went through for a big chunk of this conversation, there's just a lot of really cool stuff on the Macroverse app. So, I think my two things I always like to say is there's a bunch more coming. We are continuing to launch new episodes into existing series, and there'll be a couple of new series launching there over the next couple of weeks as well. So there's always more new cool stuff coming. We are in the final stages of bringing on a creator that I have been a fan of for decades. It's got an incredible library that people will know. And that's going to be very exciting. So good time to jump on the app. It is, if you come into the Discord, you can probably also finagle a free subscription out of us. But do keep in mind that, $5 a month, $50 a year.
It's basically free anyway.
Yeah, and I think worth pointing out, like the majority, over half of the money that comes in does go directly to the creator. So, unlike other platforms, other comics platforms where, creators are making pennies for ad views, or you've got to buy, the equivalent of in-app currency in order to unlock new episodes and, things like that. It's a very simple traditional subscription. Half the money goes directly out the door back to the creators, as it should be, in my opinion. So, so you're not only supporting us in what we're building, but you are directly putting money in the pocket of the people that make this stuff. If you like it, I would, even though we will hook you up, throw some shekels at the incredibly talented people that are making all this content, which also helps us attract more creators who want to be on the app. So it is a win-win-win all the way around. So those are my requests and my calls to action. Discord, download the app, check out Epics, and there's a whole pinned tweet on the Macroverse profile, walking all the way through, what Epics are, how do you collect them, why might you want to collect them, what are the different series, why are they so cool? We can do a whole deep dive on that at another time, but a bunch of really cool stuff going on, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. So any final words for you, Tiny?
No, I think, other than I can't wait till next week. No, I just, again, I look forward to seeing anybody pop in, ping me, ping Eben, ping Valor. You're definitely going to find somebody in general chat that will answer questions, or even just have a conversation and say GM.
Exactly.
So, pop in anytime, and I look forward to next week.
Yeah. And if you're interested in the creative side of things, as we talked about kind of early on in this stream, there's a whole set of channels where we actually do a lot of the in-community creative work in the channel. So you can literally go back and see, this was the character, this was the story idea, these are the things that got greenlit into production, now here's the script, and then here are the layouts from the artist, and kind of seeing that full process play out is an underutilized kind of cool thing within
I will say, for anybody that is just starting to write or wants to learn how, it's an invaluable tool. I will say,
and we'll do more live sessions in relative short order. Within the next few months, we'll kick off another season of anthology stories. But all of our storytelling one-on-one sessions, which we did early on, are recorded and in the Discord as well. So if you want to kind of dive in and, this is kind of a new process to you, or you're going to figure out like, how do you guys wrap your heads around, taking a character that lives in the form of an NFT in many cases and figuring out who that character is in the context of this world that they exist in, and how might you tell a story about those characters, or how might you collaborate with someone else to tell a story about those characters. Like we've got a whole, 2 months of recorded sessions about how do you do that, and how do you think about that? How do we think about that? And what's the process that we go through to make those things into real, tangible things that you can also benefit from. So yes, we keep saying goodbye, and then we keep saying more, but we will be back.
I feel like that's my job.
We will be back, same bat time, same bat channel, or channels, next week, and every Thursday for the foreseeable future at this time. And with that, I'm going to play us out with a little more Beastie Boys. And
there we go.
Here we go.